Non sofre Santa Maria, te sei benedictoso, osceriasa Maria, sonde padre deseoso. Non sofre Santa Maria, te sei benedictoso, osceriasa Maria, sonde padre deseoso. Y'all knew what that part at least meant, didn't you? No? You're not even with me there? All right. I'll start by telling you what that means. That chorus that you're going to hear later as well means basically St. Mary does not let her pilgrims suffer when they're on their way to her shrine. So as you might guess, this is a story of possible great suffering. But no, don't worry. They don't suffer because St. Mary doesn't allow that. So, this story begins with a bunch of pilgrims, just like yourselves, out on a hot day in the middle of Spain. You know, it's the summertime, I might tell you too, because that's the only time that pilgrims can take off from work. We kind of understand that, don't we? But they don't have cars and other sorts of vehicles to take them to the shrine. They have to walk the whole way.
Uphill.
Both ways for sure, especially getting there. Yes, but there's a couple of good things about this whole system. One is that, you know, like today, a lot of people go to church once a week, sometimes more than that. They sin so much that they think they need to go every single week. These people, they get to sin all year long and go to the shrine once. Sin, 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 ding, forgiven. Go back home. Sin, 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 ding, forgiven. Fabulous, right?
It's like a toaster.
Right. What's going on yet? The other reason, and they don't like to talk about this too loudly because it will upset St. Mary. That other reason is that along the way to the shrine, there is the most incredible inn that sells the most delicious, amazing, juicy, incredible pork chops. Pork chops. So they know they will walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and they will finally get to the end, and they know they will be rewarded with not only forgiveness, but pork chops. And that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? Yes. So they walk, and they finally make it to the end, and they sit down. And the serving girl comes out kindly and says, "What do you have?"
Great service.
Yeah, and they all say, "Well, pork chops, of course. We heard they were great. You know, we had them last year and stuff. You know, they're really good." And so she says, "Okay, one for each of you." Yeah. Y'all look all right. One for each. 20 pork chops! And while they wait for their pork chops, you know, they're going to be forgiven for all of their sins tomorrow when they reach the shrine. So while they sit there and wait for their pork chops, they go ahead and live it up, sin it up, lay some cards, some dice, you know. Because tomorrow it's all good anyway, right? Well, the serving girl goes, and she goes to collect those pork chops, puts them on the big tray. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Those pork chops look awfully good today. Yes. And the serving girl, you know, she's a poor girl. You know, and she understands. I mean, pilgrims are kind of poor sometimes too, you know, and they come through. And sometimes they forget to tip.
Oh, that's awful.
And so she goes hungry. Oh,
so hungry.
think she got the message?
I don't know. They're a little slow on
All right.
that.
Well, you know, we'll try. And so she looks at those pork chops and they look so good. And she looks out at the pilgrims and she thinks, I don't know. I'm not sure that they can count very well. So maybe I will take just the tiniest pork chop, just the littlest one. I mean, I'm not greedy or anything. I just want the tiniest pork chop because I'm really hungry. And so she takes that pork chop and she puts it in the cupboard. The rest of the pork chop's nice and tasty, and she takes it out to the table. And then the people, they take the pork chop tray and they take one pork chop each. But when the pork chop tray gets to the last person, there's no pork chop!
Where's my pork chop?
Oh, no.
Right! And he starts looking at the other pilgrims, or their 2 pork chops in anybody's plates, but there aren't. And then they see the serving girl walking away, wiping some grease off on her skirts and looking a little bit guilty. And they know this was no mistake. That girl stole that pork chop. But these are pilgrims, they're good people, they're going to the shrine to be forgiven as well. I mean, you know, they understand sometimes we don't do the right thing. It's okay, we don't want to get her into too much trouble, we're just hungry. So, they cry up to the one authority that can solve this just right. Santa Maria! Non soffre Santa Maria, ti ser impedidoso, os que alzas Romaria, son de paz deseoso. Well, now the serving girl, she knows the powers of St. Mary too, and she's getting a little bit nervous with this prayer. But before she can run away or do anything crazy, they hear this knocking from that cabinet. And it gets a little louder. And the doors start rattling. Come on, Al. More noise, more noise. There you go. All right, all right. And finally, the doors swing open and the pork chop flies out. And once the screaming stops, they notice the beautiful pork chop dancing with the rays of holy light shining off of its greasy goodness. And unlike you and me, who might think this is some sort of Star Wars, Star Trek-y thing going on here, these people know this is nothing short of the most magnificent miracle by none other than Santa Maria! Non soffre Santa Maria, te ser impedidoso, os que alzas Romaria, son de paz deseoso. Non soffre Santa Maria, te ser impedidoso, os que alzas Romaria, son de paz deseoso. Now they sit there and they watch this beautiful pork chop dance for a long time. And do a few sighing, you know, because it's so beautiful. Come on, a beautiful pork chop dancing. But after a while, they realize they can't just let it keep dancing there forever. What are we going to do with a holy dancing pork chop?
eBay!
Ow! No eBay. No, these people were on their way to the shrine. What better place than to share the glory of the shiny, dancing, holy pork chop than to take it to the shrine? So, I did mention that this is Spain in the summer. It's very hot, and they still have a whole day of walking to go. And excuse me, I'm not there yet. Even a holy pork chop is not going to smell its best in 24 hours. It's true. So they enlist the girl that stole it in the first place. Yes. Yeah. And she was smart enough to stick it on a pole way out there. And she marched it the rest of the way to the shrine. And when they got there, they hung it high in the shrine so that everyone could see it. And they spread around flowers and herbs so that you mostly see it instead of smell it. That was the theory. And so there you have it, the most amazing miracle by none other than Santa Maria! Non soffre Santa Maria, te ser impedidoso, os que alzas Romaria, son de paz deseoso. Non soffre Santa Maria, te ser impedidoso, os que alzas Romaria, son de paz deseoso. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.